My name's Tim Womack. I'm 32 years old and I'm a facade engineer.
In facade engineering, we're sort of split into two disciplines. We do new build facades, where we actually design facade systems for new buildings, be it curtain walls, masonry-clad buildings. Any type of new build design will assist in designing that building facade. The other side of the discipline is remedial and diagnostic consulting, where we'll actually go out, we'll look at existing building stock, diagnose any problems, or do a general health check on that stock. The purpose of our work at the Opera House was to undertake a routine inspection of all their glazed elements. Because quite a number of them with the large glass walls are inaccessible, what we are looking for is just defects that could affect the integrity of those facades. So if there are any major cracked panes of glass, we'd look at those, get those replaced. Any of the structural elements holding the glass up, we have a look at those, make sure they don't look like they're moving in any way which should be untoward or of concern. We have a look at the condition of all the sealants, anything that may let water into the building if it's degrading. So essentially what we're doing is trying to pick up anything that may be an ongoing durability concern for the building. Generally, going into facade engineering, you come from another engineering discipline. It's a relatively new specialism in engineering. My background is structural engineering. I graduated from the University of Wales, Cardiff in the UK with a Bachelor of Architectural Engineering. That is generally a very structurally focused engineering degree. I was considering architecture as a career, but my strength in physics drove me to engineering in the end. The thing I like most about my job is the variety. We get to work on so many different projects, from the smallest to the largest. We get to redevelop multi-storey luxury office buildings. We get to do minor alterations to the smallest buildings. So every job we do is completely different to the last, with new challenges and new solutions to look at.
Within the space of this inspection, we'll get half of this all done.
In a company such as ours, we also have some incredibly bright people and very creative minds to work with, and it just provides an incredibly stimulating environment to be involved in. I think facade engineering is important to the economy of Australia because we're constantly looking at new ways to make buildings more environmentally sustainable. Facade engineering is quite crucial in this because we're trying to prevent heat come in, we're trying to allow light to come in, and your building facade is really critical in achieving all of these things and reducing your load on your building services. I've trained as a structural engineer and now I've moved into facade engineering. There are plenty of opportunities in project management, all sorts of different disciplines involved with building and construction that you can take that route. The demand at the moment is extraordinarily huge, actually. Because it is a relatively new discipline, we're finding it very hard to find people who have good experience and training in facade engineering. So what we're tending to find is we're bringing engineers out of other disciplines and actually training them up on the job. The skills that I think are necessary to be a facade engineer is open-mindedness. We always go to buildings never quite knowing what we're going to find. It's very much a problem-solving type of career. Remedial and diagnostic consulting is slightly different to your standard engineering because when you're designing new components for a building, you're very much set within the bounds of physics and you're designing something new, so you have all the options, whereas in remedial and diagnostic consulting, you're very much trying to figure out what's there, what's gone on, where the problems have come from. My favourite activity to do recreationally is scuba diving. I originally thought I was going to be a marine biologist. I've found that scuba diving has actually been a big help in undertaking abseil work. Scuba diving is one of those activities where it relies very heavily on training. If something goes wrong, you could be in relatively serious trouble quite quickly. So having that background before I started abseiling allowed me to have in my mind the means of dealing with potentially hazardous situations without panicking, to actually stop and think about it logically and to rely on equipment. Ironically, I'd never abseiled recreationally really before I started this as a career. I think it's probably fair to say that this job is my dream job. I couldn't think of a better job to be doing. I've been lucky enough to be employed for the last 10 years or so. I've travelled to many different countries and I get to see some of the best views in the world here in Sydney, you know, so to me it's the best real job I could have.